There's a level of me that wonders why I wasn't protected.
What you heard was the last interview with Max Spiers. He was a British conspiracy theorist who died in Poland in July 2016. What made his case extremely disturbing was that just before dying, he vomited black liquid and sent warnings to his mother. In the remaining days of his life, he wholly believed someone was after him. Although some people speculated that he was simply mentally ill or that he had had a medical condition, the details surrounding his death point to a different, more sinister conclusion. Let's dig deep into the curious case of Max Spiers. Born on December 22, 1976, Maxwell Lindsay Herbert Bates Spiers believed in conspiracy theories even when he was young. One belief that Max had was that his mind had been genetically altered as a fetus to become a super soldier. He believed that he was part of a group of 40 children in the super soldier program, where they were taught how to survive and fight an enemy that inhabited another dimension. Max believed this part of him was dormant. However, it could be activated by a trigger word that he did not know. In this interview in a BBC documentary, Miles, one of Max's friends who invited him to speak in conferences, recalled the British conspiracy theorist talking about deep underground bases, super soldiers, and a laboratory called Nightmare Hall, where scientists were creating creatures. Later in his life, Max was staying in the United States when he had an accident. As a result, he cracked his pelvis and was immediately put on a potent dose of opiates. Unfortunately, this led to him developing an opioid use disorder, which prohibited him from using the drugs any longer. Unable to acquire prescription opiates, Max began taking heroin. Many people pointed to this fact when they learned of his death in 2016. However, his family and colleagues in the conspiracy theory community do not believe so. Three months prior to his death, Max gave his last speech at a conference called Project Earth in Warsaw, Poland in 2016. At the beginning of his talk, he said this:
The build-up over the last 6 months coming to Poland has been tumultuous, to say the least. I have been under psychic attack, under astral attack, and under physical attack to stop me from coming to Warsaw to be able to convey this information to you.
Max later spoke about a war that was going to happen, and that the reason that suspicious people were trying to stop him was that he was going to lay out what the war was about and how it could be stopped. During his stay in Warsaw, Max met with a woman named Monica Duval, and the two decided to live together. Max felt accepted in the conspiracy theory community in Warsaw, and later planned on speaking at a UFO conference to share his most recent discovery. Max was reported very close to solving a UFO theory that involved people in positions of power. However, after a few months, Max began texting his mother, Vanessa Bates, that he was fearing for his life. He believed that dangerous people were pursuing him and were planning to murder him. He later sent out a text to his mother that read, "Your boy's in trouble. If anything happens to me, investigate." This was the beginning of the end for Max Spiers. Max and Vanessa were in constant contact with each other until 4 days before July 16th, when he went silent. Vanessa started to worry. On the evening of July 16th, 2016, Max fell asleep on Monica's sofa. However, after a few hours, she noticed that he stopped breathing. She immediately called paramedics, but while waiting, she tried to resuscitate him, which prompted him to begin to vomit. A doctor attended the scene, and upon arriving at the house, he analyzed Max and tried to resuscitate him. However, he was still unresponsive. Eventually, he was pronounced dead. As the doctor made a report of Max's death, he noted that he had a high fever for about 24 hours and wrote, "Before emergency services came to the site, dark brown liquid spilled out of the patient." In the UK, worried about their son's state, Vanessa called Monica, who answered the phone hysterically, and told her that Max was in fact dead. 2 days later, Vanessa called Monica again, and this time, she told her that Max had vomited 2 liters of black liquid before he died. She stated, "I noticed he had something in his mouth, some remnants of food, so I turned him onto one side and saw gastric fluids pouring out of him, brown liquid, like somewhat tea-colored." At 39 years old, the death of Max Spiers baffled the minds of his family and friends. Six days after his death, Max's body was returned to the UK in a sealed coffin. Unfortunately for his family, they would not be able to see his body for one last time because apparently his body had undergone decomposition. His face had deteriorated and thus he was already unrecognizable. Polish authorities concluded that Max had died of natural causes. However, due to the insistence of his friends, family, and colleagues in the conspiracy theory community, a full inquiry was done. His body had later undergone a post-mortem in Kent, England. However, it was inconclusive. What could be the cause of Max's death? According to Miles, when they first met in Vegas through a super soldier conference, they were being followed by 4 government agents. Max was wholly convinced that they wanted him to stop sharing his knowledge of UFOs. Could they have been connected to his death? In an interview with the Daily Telegraph in October 2016, Vanessa stated this, "I think Max had been digging in some dark places and I fear that somebody wanted him dead." She referenced to his text that he sent her 4 days before his death. On another note, when Vanessa called Monica on the day that Max died, she noted that she could hear other people in the room. However, at this time, the doctors and emergency services were no longer present. Vanessa claimed that these people were trying to revive Max for hours. She mentioned hearing strange things like cups of milk and cups of vinegar. Later, Vanessa added that when they received his sealed coffin, his case had come with it. However, some of his things were missing, including his laptop and phone. Vanessa found it weird, and so she called Monica about it. 3 weeks later, Monica sent the laptop and phone. However, after going through her son's things, Vanessa was perplexed by what she discovered. The laptop had been completely wiped out, and the phone had no SIM card in it. Vanessa was truly convinced that someone had gone through Max's things. Why did Monica hold on to Max's laptop and phone? Also, what were they doing to his body? These details that did not add up prompted Vanessa to request an inquest into Max's death. Later, journalists tried to contact Monica regarding Max's death. However, she was unresponsive and did not show her face after the incident. On January 7, 2019, the cause of Max's death was released as drugs and pneumonia. However, the story doesn't stop there. Vanessa wanted to learn more about her son's death and asked for a detailed report. Strangely, the Polish authorities would not release the paperwork without the written consent of Max. It was as if they were hiding something. Vanessa was convinced that her son came across something that he should not have discovered. She held on to his last words, to investigate, and the inquest to his death continued. If you're still here, thank you for watching. The strange details that surrounded Max Spiers' death point to something sinister. Throughout history, the government had been known to cover stories that did not serve them. The odd details of his death really make you ask, what did Max Spiers find that the powerful people did not want the public to know? What are your thoughts about this case? Don't hesitate to comment below. If you have another topic like this that you want me to cover, do let me know as well. I do read the comments and appreciate the support. Until next time, peace.